everyone, I'm up here in Alstonville, up near Lismore, where we've just been running a whole host of workshops with Monique. Has a dance school up here. She does a lot of private lessons with girls and the Karen Ireland Dance Centre. And I've got Cassie here, who's the mother of one of the girls, who is doing both individual assessment with me and some of the workshops, just to get a bit of feedback about what they feel that the students get from doing the workshops, and to see how they feel the whole week went. So thanks guys. First, Kathy, you have two daughters. One's now a professional dancer and the little one's just starting off. What do you think as a whole that the girls have got from going through these workshops and sessions with me that helps influence their dancing?
Well, I think there's an enormous array of things that they get. They are my girls are interested in their own bodies, and I think that they actually use the information that they're getting to understand why they're doing the exercises that they're doing, and what the point, the importance of pointing their feet, and why you have to get a good point before you go on to the next stage, and what muscles are, and which muscles they're supposed to be using, and you know, there's so many ways of doing it the wrong way.
Exactly.
And everybody's body is completely different, well, very different, and they have to learn about their own body. It may not be the same as the next person, and it's certainly not the same with the two sisters.
Even with
very
the two
different.
sisters,
So they've learned a lot about themselves and how to improve themselves and the steps that they need to take.
Wonderful, and it's been really interesting because the older one I've had coming in for sessions, unfortunately fortunately she's overseas doing her thing, so she comes back and has sessions, and it is very different working with them when they're at an older level. Like, she takes on a lot very, very quickly, but it also means that the younger ones, we can start getting that happening, you know, however younger, she's 6 years younger?
She's just 12, so
so starting that off, you know, 6 years earlier, it allows us to build that up over the years, so by the time she is a lot older, and whether she decides to go on any further with it, that she's got a lot more grounding.
Well, I think it is very layered. I think that she's learned, the first time she learned a little bit. And this time around she's learned a little bit, she's moved on with her ballet, she's doing different things now, and she's learned another layer. And I think that it will be a continuing increasing layer, and knowledge layers that will build up to hopefully prevent her from getting injured in the future, and that's what I really want for her, to prevent any bad habits forming.
Exactly, and that's something that we were talking about before, Monique, with some of the younger ones, that when we did workshops 6 months ago, we had some of the very, very little ones doing the core control and flexibility workshops, and I was a bit worried because I thought the content was a little bit above them. That's why we had the age limit at 13, but we had a lot of little ones doing it, and you've noticed a big difference in those kids.
Very big. The ones that did it 6 months ago and looked completely like they didn't know where they were going next. I noticed throughout their classwork that they were starting to absorb, identify. You know, we had the muscle poster up and it was like, oh yes, this is that muscle we talked about, something along the line. But when they came to the workshop this time round, and I'm not talking, it didn't matter whether they were younger or older, as long as they were second attendees at the same workshop, the levels were different. Those that have come in the second time in, they had questions. They had intelligent questions.
Great questions.
You could see they were thinking about it, and which muscle works this, and they wanted to know. Oh, and what about? They weren't afraid to ask on those questions. Now, having learned a bit more, and yet some of them were so vacant before. It was like, oh dear, was that really worth it? Yes, it was. Definitely. And it's most definitely the second time in. It's like in dance, we repeat things to learn things. We have to repeat it over and over, and you're not going to know it. So anybody who's sort of says, oh, I've done that workshop, I don't need to do that again. Actually, it's that repeating of it that gets, and that's exactly what we're doing with the layering.
So. And what I've seen with with Bridget.
And that's what we're saying with like the Perfect Point book and things like that. Even when some of the girls had had it for a long time and they've been working through it and learning from it, then repeating the same thing and going through it with me, learning all of those different fine things that can make that extra difference to get that layer on effect.
And it's refreshing too. It's refreshing their knowledge. They work on you take away from anything like that the bits that you want to, that really grab you. When you go back again and do it again, I think that the things that you didn't think were so important or you weren't so concerned about, or you didn't, you know, they just
have
didn't
any relevance.
Feel, they weren't relevant, then you take that away the next time. So it doesn't matter where it is within the book. It's not sort of always the thing at the end, the new thing. It's actually sometimes the beginning things that make sense now because the muscles they're using
they're starting to use it.
They're identifying those muscles.
And that's why I say to them often, if they've already been through the book, even if they're not doing the workshops, if they go back through again and if they go through that whole process every year, I don't care, they will pick up something more each time they go through it that, you know, helps build on all of those strengths.
Definitely. And as a dance teacher, I do it every time I go through the book. I didn't see that last time. Oh, yeah, that's right. But also, try it this way.
Yeah, the books are very easy for a mother to understand as well. There's enough science there to if you're inquisitive about the science side of things, to make you to inform you enough to understand. But also, there's just simple steps,
ways of explaining.
That maybe, you know, I haven't done dance, so I would find that helpful when I'm talking with Bridget about different things now.
Definitely. Yeah, we tried to make it at that level that it is layers and layers. It's fine for a 12-year-old to process, but that each time there are more and more layers that they won't get the first time, but then they'll come back again and revisit it and get the layers underneath. So that's why we've written it that way. One of the things that comes up for a lot of the parents is it's an extra expense. We already pay out so much in dance fees and costumes and everything. How do you approach that side of things?
Well, I think it's preventative, and that's all for prevention of any injury and then having to fix it later. I'm really grateful that Bridget is getting the opportunity to do this now, and it'll be a really interesting experiment to see how she develops, because she, as I said, is a different body to her sister, but you know, just with that knowledge and with good training, we'll probably won't have the crises or the fears that you know, when things do sort of go a bit wrong.
Because like I say, things can still go wrong, but what often happens, and I find that the kids that I've worked through with, their rehab is much, much shorter, and they also have the concept that an injury happens because they're doing something not quite right. I have a big difference that I see in the clinic with kids coming in and something happened to my foot, or I did something to my foot. And for me, how they describe their own injuries is enormous. The kids that I've been working with say, oh, Lise, I've done something to my foot, can you work out what I'm doing? And for me, that is an absolute godsend, because they're accepting responsibility for it. If they're saying, something's happened to my foot, can you fix it? Then they have, you know, something's happening to me, it's an external load, I have nothing to do with it, I've been doing everything correct. I think that's one thing that they learn within the workshop, so even if they don't get it 100% right, if something does happen, then we go, oh, okay, well, you're doing this, oh yeah, I knew it wasn't meant to do that, oops, and they correct it, so their rehab time is that much shorter if anything does happen, and they have more personal responsibility for it.
And they identify earlier that there is something not right. I think they know what it should feel like, and they know what it shouldn't feel like, and I think that that's important in early intervention into if it needs to
definitely. And then from a teacher's point of view, when they start bringing things up, that we kind of know what to action and what not to action.
Absolutely. And again, that same topic, that there are a lot of costs involved in any type of elite sport that the kids are doing today. But I come at it from a different perspective. I know I don't teach quite the same as far as I do mostly one-to-one with the students, but I would much rather see them not come to have an extra coaching lesson with me for 2 weeks and go and see you for your workshop, and then I know when they come back to me, we're so much further ahead. So it's
a massive matter of commitment from you, but seeing the benefits afterwards, that shows where your dedication is.
Matter of just juggling the two and saying, where are the priorities? And we've also had the same thing, a couple of the students who attended in March and said, oh, well, I did that workshop and I don't need to do that one again. And, oh, you know, it's just, you know, there's just another expense on top of, you know, the tutu that's just paid a couple of $100 for, and the Eisteddfod fees and all the rest of it. But then I said, well, actually, it's that which you need more than anything else to keep you dancing safely and to keep your knowledge, to keep your knowledge working, absolutely excelling. And so that's where I see it as being probably the nuts and bolts. If they've got that, they can build so many more blocks ahead.
Build up on it. Yeah. Excellent.
And it's long term. It's an investment early for a long term gain. I think that's the thing. A tutu comes and goes.
Yes.
A leotard comes and goes. But I think that this knowledge of their bodies and a really good understanding of what they're supposed to be doing and why they're doing what they're doing, then, you know, I think that's far more important.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys. I think we're due to be up here again March, April, sometime
next
year. And we're off to the States in just a couple of weeks, so I hope to see all of you who are attending the workshops over there so that we can start getting these kind of benefits out to everyone out in the rest of the world.